And we are now live.
Okay.
Damn, yo, it's been a while. Sound good?
Yeah, I'm really loud in my ear, though.
Turn the headphones down. What about now?
Yeah, that's good. That's
good?
Yes.
Straight? I bet. First time on the pod. Yo, this is going to be sweet. I'm just meeting her. I only know what we've spoken about briefly. So I'm interested in hearing your story. You know what I'm saying? Like point A to B, your return, recovery moment. I call it a U-turn moment, how you brought everything full circle. And, hopefully we can get some inspiration, strength, and hope to the recovery community. How that sound?
That sounds good.
Let's get it, yo. You may recognize this tune. It's the Redeem Yourself podcast, episode 42, I believe. Got another special guest in the building. You ready to rock out? You excited?
I am.
I am. Me too. Fuck it, let's get it.
Redeem Yourself podcast.
So everybody has that same little bop when they hear that intro. Yo, go watch the everybody start bopping. Like, yo, that shit is fire. Yeah, my guy, salute to Aaron in the building.
That's awesome.
That's his work. That's his work. Light work. Welcome to the Redeem Yourself podcast. I am your host, Jared. I have a special guest this evening. Your name is Chauncie.
Chauncie.
That is Chauncie.
With
Chauncie.
a ch, like cheese.
Like Chewbacca.
Yeah.
Chauncie. Got you. Say hi.
Hi.
Before we get rocking, let me give my shout outs. Definitely, if you in the sober curious space, looking for something different, check out Point 5, 3435 West Cary Street down in Richmond, Virginia. You in the real estate, you trying to buy you some houses, change your life, change the trajectory of your family's life as well. Salute to my guy, Chris Jefferson, Charged Up University. Last but not least, my guy, Sean with Recovery Outdoors, bringing a new aspect to recovery and helping people find sobriety. Now that I got that out the way, this hour is about you. Cool? How we start, right? We go through little check-ins. I ask you how your week was. I'll explain how my week was, and then we'll get into your story.
Okay, that sounds good. I'm trying to figure out if I like this or this better.
So hack, I got to wear mine like this because this shit broke. And I don't want that joint to be hanging, like, looking sideways on camera. So
usually when I sing, I always leave one out, one in. But
me too. When I used to rap.
Yeah, but I might keep. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. Look, if you play with it while on there, like, I understand.
Just understand that that's what's going on.
It's all good. So, Chauncie, how was your week, man?
My week was pretty good.
Okay.
Minus my panic on Monday, which really isn't different than any other Monday. But yeah, the week was pretty good. I stayed pretty busy. I had way too much stuff to do this week. And by way too much stuff to do, I mean more than 2 things outside of my normal routine.
I get it.
But I made it to Saturday and I've got Monday off, so
It's a long weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what's up. My week, today's Saturday. I think, and I was explaining to you beforehand, like, this is probably the first week I've been active. I know last week I sat on my ass and just kind of recovered, grieving, didn't do much, didn't really talk to anybody. Like, I was a hermit crab just in the house. Finally, last weekend, I was like, all right, man, I got to get off my ass. You know what I'm saying? Enough is enough. Like, I can't just sit in here and keep sulking and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm happy to be back. I'm happy.
Yeah, welcome back.
No doubt. We getting the opportunity to finally link up.
Yeah.
Get this interview popping.
Yeah, we had some reschedules.
Yeah.
To mental health and rain.
Rain and shit. And that was on me. Like, I looked at the suitcase this morning. I was like, I could have just put all this shit in the suitcase. But
yeah, it was totally fine.
Energy happened the way it was supposed to. Right?
Exactly.
All right, bet. So, let's get this started. Simple stuff here. Like, you explain what you want to explain, any subjects you don't want to touch on. I just ask kind of brief questions. Like, how was life for you growing up? You know what I'm saying?
Oh, it was It was rough. And I always like to preface this with my mom did the best that she could with what she had.
As parents, we understand that shit now, right?
Yeah,
I have to catch myself because I used to get on here a lot and be like, yo, my parents this and that. And then I got a lot of kids. I was like, damn, they really were just trying to do the best they had.
Yeah.
What they had.
Yeah. And my mom did so much stuff for me. And when I've done podcasts before, I've told the truth. But so now I like to say, but my mom did the best that she could with what she had. And it wasn't her fault, everything that went on. So my real father, I stopped having contact with him when I was like 2 or 3 years old. He lived out in Vegas, and like that whole family, we lost touch with them. So my mom married this other guy who was a terrible alcoholic. Like had to drink in the morning or he would go into DT's alcoholic. And so there was a lot of like fighting and screaming and stuff all the time. And eventually my mom divorced him, and then we were just like poor. Like it was like saltines and peanut butter crackers.
Word.
Was food.
So you've been through it.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so that was rough. And when they got divorced, her husband or her ex-husband, who I called dad, him and his family stopped talking to me. That was, I guess, I was like 12.
I was about to ask, how old were you?
I was like 12.
That's traumatizing.
Yeah, that was the second father and family that had, like, to me, left me. Like,
right.
So I had, like, huge abandonment issues, and that was really tough. And then the first real boyfriend I had when I was 14, he was, like, he was awful. He was very narcissistic. He used to beat me. Like,
damn,
it was like the cops had to get involved. And
at 14?
Yeah.
And you said this was your first real boyfriend.
This was my first, like, real boyfriend.
Damn, you had a girlfriend at 14? You did? Oh, you was a fast mother. You was in New Orleans. Damn, bro, I was terrified. What about that?
Yeah, so that was, so like all of my experiences like with men that was like supposed to like love me didn't, and I had like zero self-worth. It was like my daddy issues didn't come out as me like, I don't even want to use the word hoe. It wasn't trying to get attention through a sexual way. It was trying to get attention from men through a, like, I'm one of the guys. Like, I was very much, like Chauncie doesn't count. She's one of the guys.
What do they call that shit?
A pick-me
like
girl.
Like tomboy type. Like,
I was very...
yeah. What you call that?
A pick-me.
Pick-me?
A pick-me
What
girl.
that mean, yo?
That means, like, I'm trying so hard to tell you that I'm cool that you need
like,
to, like,
yo,
pick
all
me.
right,
Yeah,
that, got you. I never heard that before. You heard that? Just some new shit, right? Got you, pick me.
Yeah, so I was very much that girl, and just tomboy, just very cool, like,
playing ball, football.
Well, I wouldn't say I wasn't good at sports, but I did music, so I played like guitar, and like I was just. But deep down inside, I was like miserable, and I had the worst anxiety and depression. Like even as a young kid, I remember being in 3rd grade and like crying in the summertime while this Spice Girls song was playing.
Oh shit!
It's not. It was 2 Become 1. It's not even like a sad song, but it was a slow song, and I just started like bawling, crying because I was so sad, and like I didn't understand that was depression.
Right? Yeah. How would you know though?
Yeah. It was just like, oh, I'm really sad.
This song does something to me. And I feel it.
And so, so my childhood was a lot of me masking and being the life of the party and trying to be funny and stuff like that.
I know that feeling.
To make everybody else happy because I was hurting
inside
so bad. Yeah.
Let me ask you something. How do you describe, like, if somebody asked you what depression feels like right now? Like, how would you describe it? Depression
to me isn't even necessarily sadness. My depression makes me not want to do anything.
Me too.
And when it gets really bad, it's like I'm drowning. It feels like the air that I'm breathing is not enough to fill my lungs. And it's just very much, I can't do anything because I'm so exhausted from just trying to breathe.
Yeah. You know what? That was me last week. You know, like I finally settled down and, you know, the thought of my grandmother no longer being here, like finally hit. And I was like, all right, well, this sucks. You know, like, so when younger, I always felt this certain way and I didn't know what my depression was either, but that was me. Like I wanted to be the life of the party. I wanted to be the fun guy. Like I always wanted to be invited. You know what I'm saying? And when I couldn't get invited, I had the products to create my own party. You know what I'm saying? But when anybody would ask me, like when I would talk to a therapist at say 17, you know, the only way I could describe it, well, how do you feel? I'm like, in a room full of people, I just always feel alone.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Is that?
That's exactly how it was. I had a hard time. I didn't have a hard time making friends. I had a lot of friends, but I always felt alone because I wouldn't put myself out there enough and like actually show who I was. So I felt like nobody knew me.
Right.
Like nobody knew the real me because
just a
I
bunch
was
of
so
mass.
I was just so shallow with what, you know, it was very controlled of what I let people see and know about me. And it was like sitting in a room full of people and feeling all alone because it's like nobody actually knows what's going on with me.
And that's a deep feeling when I look back on like my teenage years. You know what I'm saying? Like, to not be able to verbalize that to anybody who maybe could have offered me some help is tough.
Yeah, that's it. And I think that's the thing about like being depressed or having any kind of mental illness as like an adolescent is you don't understand how to describe. Like I'm just, you know, I'm in my 30s and I'm just now in this past year understanding what I was going through as a child.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like we got, can I ask you how old you are?
Yeah, I'm 34.
You're 34? All right, bet. All right. I'm 37. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, I'm going to keep saying this shit, but the passing of my grandmother like brought up all of these feelings that I didn't even know existed, right? And I was talking, we went down to Florida. My wife finally saw like my family, like that side of my family, like all of the love, all of the support. And I was like, you see what I mean? This was ripped from me when I was 13 and I came here to nothing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that, coincidentally enough, that's when my depression, anxiety, addiction issues started because I was trying to feel the love and support that I had for 13 years of my life with a vice. You know what I'm saying? And I could never get it. And then it finally clicked. Last week or 2 weeks ago, I was like, holy shit, this was it.
Yeah,
you know,
that was the void that you were trying to fill.
Yeah. You know, my cousins, uncles, now I got kids, they got kids, our kids running around together. And it was like, man, I got goosebumps even thinking about it.
Yeah, that's crazy you say that. I reconnected with my real father when I was 20 or 21, and I went to go see that family. And my mom's side of the family is just me, my mom, my aunt, and my grandma. And then like my son and my aunt's son, very small. My family in Las Vegas is Mexicans. They all have like 10 brothers and sisters. So like I go out there and it's just, they like have like this big party. It's like welcome home party. And like I was like, oh my God, like that's what I was missing. That was the void. Like I needed that love. I wanted that family. And like my stepdad, his family was a big family too. So like I did have that when I was younger, and then that was taken away, and it always was that like a void there. Yeah. And I did a lot of healing going to meet him. I ended up living with him for 9 months out there. Okay. And just healing that part of me, you know, that did not feel loved. Like I finally understood what happened, and that, you know, it wasn't me, and I was able to heal. It was really
I could tear up thinking about that. That's right. I feel like I hijacked your story a little bit.
No.
But this was good. That was good. So take me to like maybe the later teen years. Like when did addiction start to settle in or start, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Okay. So throughout high school, I just partied all the time because I had such bad depression and anxiety. So I would just
From like freshman year on?
Oh,
or-
yeah.
Shit.
Well, I started like drinking and smoking pot in 8th grade.
Okay.
And then, but yeah, the high school years, that's when it like
A blur.
that's when it
I
went
get it.
down. And I was a big pothead. I wouldn't touch weed today, even if I was like not in abstinent recovery. Because like it's just
enough
not
of it.
my thing. Yeah,
Okay.
not my thing anymore. But when I was younger, that was like
The go-to.
yeah,
no doubt.
You couldn't tell me that I wasn't a Rastafarian or something. Like I just like I was like
shit.
total stereotype of like a pothead.
You had dreads and shit?
I did at one time. It wasn't in high school. It was later on, and they were awful.
Yo, I'm gonna need a
awful.
picture after this wraps
I will
up.
show you.
I
They
gotta
was
see.
sad. They was so bad because that was the time when I was like really stuck on Adderall. So
Okay.
I was like crocheting them like every day. So they looked like good, but my hair's so thick they were like this big.
Oh yeah, that drink was like an extra hat. It just popped out. All right, bet.
So high school I partied a lot. I had my son at 17.
Okay.
So when I was pregnant with him, that was the first time that I'd ever been like completely sober at all. And that was very short lived because I didn't know I was pregnant until I was like 6 months pregnant.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So
Damn, yo.
yeah, which he came out fine, thank God. But like,
Word.
but yeah, so once I had him, I had terrible postpartum depression. Like the minute that I had him, I felt like I had lost an arm. Like a lot of people will explain like having a baby does feel like you had like a limb cut off or like a piece of you has been like amputated. And that's what it felt like to me. And they gave me Percocets in the hospital. And that's when I was like, oh, this is the answer to all of my problems ever.
How old? You said like 17, 18?
17,
Okay,
yeah.
17.
So I started down that path of just like any opiates I could get. And then right after I graduated was when I first found heroin. And then I was like, yes, this is chef's kiss. Like, this is the perfect solution to all of the problems.
How did, all right, so my first time, my drug of choice was cocaine. And I remember the first time I was 19, I was in Harbor Village, like down by Tucker High School is where I graduated from.
Oh, okay.
And behind it, one of them apartment complexes. It was like 2 a.m, maybe later, but I was completely gone, like obliterated. And we were playing poker, and I was so gone that I had a bottle of Captain Morgan's, and I was just sipping it like straight out the bottle while we were playing. And one of my homeboys pulled a sack out, dumped it on the table. And of course, like in like movie fashion, like, yo, you don't want this. Like, stay away. And I'm hammered. I'm like, no, give me that. Like, let me try it. You know what I'm saying? So I did it and was kind of like you. I was like, holy fuck, like, this is amazing. You know what I'm saying? But that feeling never came back. And I chased it for the next like 7 or 8 years until, I gave everything up.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first time that I did dope, it was kind of like that. I was like homeless at the time before I started doing dope. My mom would let me stay at her house on the nights that I had my son, but when he was at his dad's, it was like, you can't live here. So I was like couch surfing.
Well, addiction kind of hit you that bad where family life had deteriorated.
Yeah. Okay. And so I was staying at these people's apartment and I was like living in their walk-in closet.
Damn.
And
you gotta do
but
what you
I
gotta
thought I
do,
was
yo.
living the life because everybody else at that time was still partying.
Right.
So it was like, it was fun for
So
everybody.
crazy being stuck in that box, yo, and not realizing there's a big world outside of it with people doing a lot of successful shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And I'm over here like, whatever, I'm just going to party all the time. You got to go to work hungover, not me. I'm just going to live in this closet. And so we were staying in these apartments and these guys came over and they were like, they were trying to sell us cocaine. And the other guys were like, yeah, we'll try cocaine. And I'd never touched coke because my stepdad did a lot of coke. And like, I was like,
saw some things.
Yeah. So I was like, no, I'd always turn it down. And then when they wanted coke, and I was like, well, I'll try cocaine. And so I did. And I was like, okay, cool. But I'm never coming down because like, as soon as I started coming down off of it, I was like, oh no, this cannot happen.
More.
So then I stayed high for like 3 days on cocaine because I was like, I can't come down. And eventually it was like, my body was like, you have to,
fall out.
So the next weekend, these guys were like, hey, as the other guys, they were like, hey, can you get us more cocaine? And they were like, well, we don't really do coke. We do heroin.
Holy
like just
fuck,
so like
what a
matter
jump.
of just so like matter of
Nah,
fact.
that's not what we do.
Yeah,
but
and they were like, no, we're like partying over here. These two are like whatever. So like I'm like, what does heroin feel like? And they were like, it's like a bunch of Percocets. And I was like,
I remember those.
check please. Help me out here. So I like went over to their house and like begged them to let me try heroin, which is so fucking like nuts to me now. But like that, like I've told my psychiatrist when I first came into recovery, and he was like, yeah, that's a lot of people like have it brought to them. And like, it's kind of like everybody's trying stuff. Like the fact that you went and sought it out is good. That says some things. And they wouldn't let me try it. And their friend came over one day and I was like, they're going to let me try this heroin. And he was like, you want to try it? And I was like, yeah. And so he let me try it. And I was like, wow, this is amazing. And then the guy that lived there was like, okay, we have to go on a run. Can you watch my baby?
What the fuck?
So I'm like melting into a couch and I've got this baby that I'm like watching.
Yo, hold the fuck up. How old was the baby? Yo?
The baby was like a year old, maybe. Like it was like she's not gonna do anything. She can't even move. Just leave her in the swing.
Yo, we do some wild shit in addiction, yo.
Yeah. So that was my first experience with heroin. And then like 2 days later, I moved out of the closet into these people's apartment. It was like, just pack my bag, like come over with like my gunny sack. Like
moving on up.
I would like to stay here now. I will pay your light bill if you let me stay here.
Oh, classic.
Yeah.
Classic.
So that was...
The baby was okay though, right?
The baby was fine. Cool. Yeah, the baby's still fine to this day.
We love the kids. We love the kids. Yeah.
And that guy actually like got his shit together and is doing really well, which was one of the people that I was like, oh no, there's no way he's ever gonna get it. He did.
Well, so congrats to you, gentlemen, wherever you may be. Salute to your child too. Yeah, good job.
So then it was off to the races for me. On heroin, and like none of my actual friends knew that I was doing this. And not to mention, like, I snorted it for like 2 weeks, and then the guys that I was staying with, because they had already been on it for a while, they started shooting it. So like 2 weeks in, I'm already like, all right, hit
banging
me.
shit.
Like, yeah, like it was really fast. And I lucked out though, because I was still going back to my mom's house on the nights that I had my son. So, and I wouldn't do dope when I went over there with him. So like I did it for like a year, but because I had that space between, I didn't get dope sick.
Okay.
So the first time I came off heroin after doing it for like a year, I was like, what are you talking about? Dope sick? I ain't never got dope sick.
Because you always had a break in between. Damn.
And I just like one day I was just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I just packed my shit and left and was like, Mom, let me come home. Yeah. And
like that. So how long do you think that time span, like dealing with heroin, how long did that last?
That was like a year
Just
long.
a year?
And then I was just like, oh, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I didn't touch it.
Kudos
again.
to you, yo. That is
but,
fucking awesome, yo.
Yeah, but you have to understand that when I say I didn't touch it again for a year, I was drinking heavily every day, smoking weed.
We just replace it with something else, whatever it may be.
That's when my benzo phase came through, and that was really bad. I was prescribed to Xanax, Adderall, and Ambien. And so in the morning, I would just pop some Adderall.
Like up, down, sleep.
Right as I was about, right as I was about to clock out for work, I would take my Ambien, my Xanax, and then I would go to my boyfriend's house and just party all night long, like drink. And because I have like had so much drugs in my system and such a high tolerance, like I would just party on like Ambien and Xanax.
Did you black out?
Yeah, I blacked out a lot, and
I was about to say, like, you got to, because I took a Xanny bar once, and I damn near burned Rafford to the ground, dude. Like, I woke up, the cops were knocking on my window, bro, in the middle of Radford somewhere, and my girlfriend at the time, we both passed out trying to drive home, and we wake up to the cop knocking on the window, and he, of course, asked to search us. I didn't even remember, allegedly, that I had these items. The cop takes her purse, dumps it on the hood of the car, and there's just a plastic bag of, Xanny bars, Perky, like all of this shit. And I'm looking at it like, what the fuck is that? You know what I'm saying? And God rest my grandmother's soul. The cop was like, if you can't get somebody on the phone right now to tell me what this is, you're going to jail. God, that was such a shit bag, man. I forgot about this. Like, I called her, bro. That was the only number I could think of. I called it and I said, hey, I need you to tell this cop this is from my car accident. She did it. Dude gave it back. We got in the car and hauled it.
He gave it back.
Gave it all back. And what Radford's like 3 hours from here? I made it like 2 hours flat, bro. I hit the highway and burned that shit up, dog.
Oh my God.
It's gone. God damn it, man.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. So,
you take your story back, man.
So the up or downer cocktail sent me into a really bad psychosis. So I do not encourage all of those that polysubstance use.
That's a lot.
That was probably the craziest I've ever been in my entire life. Like I really lost my mind. And then that's when I was like, you know what? I can't do this anymore. I'm going to go back to heroin. This is like my problem solving skills.
This is fucking great.
Like,
I just want to tell you, this is by far my favorite interview yet. You are fucking awesome.
So that's what I did, because to be honest, when I did heroin, I just did it to numb my feelings. But it helped me focus. It helped me to like not have anxiety or depression. And I was able to function. Like I could go to work. Anytime I was on heroin, nobody knew that I was doing drugs, because it was just such like a functional thing for me.
Way to move. So you were just moving right along.
Yeah. So it was, it was always good until it wasn't. And then it was really, really bad.
Such is life.
Yeah. So that's when, so that next time I got hooked on heroin again, my mom had left her boyfriend at the time. She came and moved into my apartment. Somebody found out I was doing dope. And my mom's like, you can't go anywhere. You're going to rehab.
How old were you when this was happening?
I was 20.
20?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So, we couldn't get any help at the time because at that time there was no places for women to go. There was like no treatment options for women or people without insurance, or we had too much insurance, or it was like crazy.
Super limited on what type of.
The only thing that I could do was this IOP group. I don't know. I just rolled my R there.
Yeah, that was wild.
This IOP group.
I thought I was hearing shit. I'm glad you clarified, yo.
And
that's a twist.
And I was going to get on the methadone program, but I went in on a Thursday and they were like, well, we usually start people on methadone the next day, but we don't start people on methadone on Fridays. So I had to go the whole weekend, and that time
was rough.
Yeah. That's when I was like,
this is
what dope sick is. Oh, it was so awful. And it was just awful. But by the time I got to Monday, it was fine. Because back when it was heroin, you had like 3 to 5 days, you were good. Now, on this fentanyl shit, you 12 days, like it goes on.
I'm just so grateful that I got all my fuckery out of the way before this shit hit. There's some different shit on the market these days.
Yeah, so I ended up going to those IOP groups, and then I think I started taking the Xanax and stuff again. I lost my mind again. I ended up moving out into Midlothian Village to become a rapper.
That's what's up. Surprised I didn't see you around the scene. What was your rap name?
Oh, no, I just went by Chauncie Jo, which is like the most like country thing ever.
You can swing it different ways. It's marketable.
Yeah. So and that was very strange. And then we got robbed one night, and I was like, man,
I don't want to rap no more.
Yeah. My rap career's over.
Oh shit, yo.
That's when I called my real father, who I had found on MySpace, who I found through a brother that I found out I had on MySpace, which was crazy. And I had connected with my dad on there, and then the night we got or he had come to visit me at one point, and then the night we got robbed, I was like, I gotta get out here.
Gotta go.
So I ran wee all the way to the Candy Bar strip club where my best friend was working, and I was like, my phone is dead. I need to call my dad. I gotta get out of here. So I called my dad from the strip club.
What is all that music playing?
Yeah. Meanwhile, my dad has only seen me once in 21 years, and I'm like, hey, so I'm on drugs and I'm at a strip club right now because we just got robbed, and I need to come live with you.
Where the fuck are you right now?
Never mind you that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. But he was like, Mia, I've been waiting my whole life for you to say that. That was a terrible
Sound like
accent.
The Godfather. I was about to say, yo, this dude is legit.
Dude, I had to show you pictures of him. He is like OG gangster from back in the day out in Compton.
Pops.
Yeah, he is. They're like the biggest. They've won world records and really made car hopping popular. They went to Japan and
what do they call hydraulic?
Yeah. They went to Japan and won the world championships. They're celebrities in their life. So it's so that was really cool.
That's dope.
But yeah, so I was like, hey, can I come live with you? And he was like, yeah. So I just packed everything up and went and lived in Vegas, and that's when I got they introduced me to Jesus. And per usual, I take everything way too far.
We're addicts.
And
it's either no or go.
The Jesus addiction was
in it.
Yeah. And I would come back to Virginia every now and then, and I'd have my Bible. I used to go to this bar, Bubba's. And the first time I came back, I went to go see all my friends at Bubba's. And it's this hole in the wall redneck bar in the East End, right? And I'm sitting there with a coffee and my Bible on a Friday night, just yes, I don't do drugs anymore. I love Jesus. Trying to pray for people in this bar.
Yo, you need a movie. This is, I need this like portrayed on a screen.
Yeah. Well, the second time I came back with my Bible, I ended up doing cocaine. So then I was laying on a couch with the Bible trying to pray the devil out of me because of the cocaine that I just did. Yeah.
I had that experience one time too, yo. It was like 7 a.m. and I was on my knees. God, please, I don't want to do this.
I'm like sitting on a couch, like highlighting my Bible. Like this is a really good book right now.
I said, I just want to sleep. Like, I don't want to feel like this. Please take it.
Yeah, that's how it was every time I did mushrooms. I was like, please God,
See,
you just make me stop
tripping. I only did that shit once, and that was enough because of that. I was like, oh my God, I just wanted to stop.
Yeah, every time I've done mushrooms 3 times. I don't know why I was like, that's like the insanity, expecting doing the same thing.
Different.
Yeah. And every time I ate way too many and went into way bad trips, and it was like, yeah. So then I moved back to Virginia because my son was still out here.
Mm-hmm.
And I did good. I did okay for a while. As soon as I moved back here, I started drinking every night because to me, I'm like, I don't like drinking. It makes me throw up, but I'm drinking every night and throwing up every day. Like that
shit is normal.
That is a problem.
Right.
Like just because you don't like the way it makes you feel, like you don't want to do. If you're doing something that you don't want to do, like that's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Like
the problem isn't if you like it or not. Nah. Like there's people that like alcohol and don't have a problem with it.
Right. Exactly.
So, yeah, and then I did good for like a couple years, like aside from drinking. I wasn't doing any like pills or anything. Yeah. And I got my wisdom teeth taken out.
Fuck.
Yeah. And
goddamn doctors.
Yeah, they gave me hydrocodones and everybody was like, maybe you shouldn't take those. And I'm like, no, I'm never going down that road again. I've already been down there. I'm never going. As soon as I took them bitches, I was like, let me take a couple more. Now I done ran out of script already. Mm-hmm. Let me call somebody for some perks. And then I was like, then I started getting 30s. And I'm like, well, is this fine? Because it's not heroin. And then I started shooting the 30s. And then I was like, well, at least I'm not shooting heroin. And then it was like, I don't have money for 30s.
The justification in our minds.
It's so crazy. It's wild I totally justified it too. I was like, it's fine. It's not heroin. Like I'm at work shooting in my arm a pill. Like
fucking wild that we can do that, yo. Because I'm doing powder. At least it's not crack. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that was my justice. I don't have a problem. I'm not there. I'm here.
Yeah,
like
that's always what it was. I'm not like that person, especially when it came to heroin with me because I did function so well on it. I'm like, oh, it's not a problem. Like I'm not like.
Meanwhile, like life really was kind of going to shit.
But I'm not noticing anything because I'm over here just numbing it. Oh.
Yeah, you're good. You're just tapping a couple springs.
Good. That was my. So once I got back on the heroin, it was like a good 7-year run.
Damn.
And then I started being like, okay, well, this is not working for me. So there was bouts of me trying to get sober, and I had seen somebody talking about NA. I'd never heard of NA.
Me either. I didn't know nothing about none of that.
Yeah,
shit.
And I had a friend that was posting videos on Facebook, reading the Just for Today readings. I'm like, this is good shit. I want some of this shit. So I went.
This is a good segue. Before you even go, what was the moment you think that led to your U-turn? When you said another 7-year run with heroin.
Yeah, we won't finish there though.
Oh shit, this shit ain't go.
Yeah. I'll make this part quick. It was a lot of I got into NA, and then it was in out.
So you never fully adapted to the program.
Yeah,
you just was kind of in there sometimes.
I was like, oh, I want friends, and I think that coming in and out though was really good for me because it was a safe place. Each time that I came back, I was more comfortable with, and it was hard to hang my head down in shame, which I know nobody else was shaming me, but it's definitely hard
it's a feel it's internal. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but it was always I finally had somewhere safe I could go. And at the very end of it, I got on meth. And
so you were like the person that they described. There was a joke that it was like, if you've been selling weed for 30 years and haven't graduated to cocaine, like you need to stop.
Yeah.
That was your addiction. Like it was just graduate levels of
like how far can I go?
Like what's next?
and the way that I got on meth was really weird because I was trying to get clean from dope again, and somebody randomly calls me on New Year's and was like, "Hey, do you have an ID?" And I was like, "Yeah, I have an ID. Why?" "Well, if you come out here right now," and this is like 2:00 in the morning, "if you come here right now, with an ID, we'll give you some meth." And I'm like, "What?" Okay. And so I tell my boyfriend, I'm like, these people just told me I could have meth. I don't like meth. I'm a dope head. Like, what do I want meth for? I don't do that shit. And he was like, "I want to do it." And I was like,
yes. Dude, wait. What is that movie, bro? It's been playing in my head the whole time. I can't think of the name, bro. But like every time drugs are introduced, like fucking A. Dude, it's the dude that was in Step Brothers with Will Ferrell. He's playing like a rocker. What is his name, dude?
Dewey Cox.
Dewey Cox. You don't want this, Dewey? Yes, I do. Every time. This is cocaine. You don't want this, Dewey? Yes, I do.
Yeah. So my boyfriend was like, "Yeah, I want to try it."
Yes,
and I was
do.
like, I mean, well, it is New Year's. So, like, and since we don't drink, maybe we could just do meth for New Year's. Because, like, what else are we going to do? Like, we've been miserable in this bed trying to get all these Suboxones. Like, we'll just do it, whatever. And they told me it was going to make me feel better. And I was like, this is not going to make me feel better. So I go out there, and not only do they need my ID, they need me to go to a Walgreens and buy Sudafed. And then,
you had to go get the medicine for them.
So that they could make it.
God damn, what an adventure.
It was.
Oh, shit.
Yeah,
yo.
New Year's 2018 was pretty crazy. And
allegedly.
Allegedly, right? The weird part was I'd never seen meth in my life. These people call me randomly. Some guy that I knew from NA like 6 months before that I hadn't talked to him calls me. I go here, allegedly, do all this stuff. The next day I get a phone call from my friend Danny, who's like, "Yo, you know what I did last night?" I was like, "What?" He was like, "Meth." And I was like, "Fuck, me too." And he was like,
small world.
He was like, "Can you give me a ride? I gotta go get some more. I'll give you some." And I was like, I don't know. It wasn't really my thing. He was like, "No, you gotta slam like a half gram of it." And I'm like, "I don't know. That sounds like I'm going to overdose." He's like, "You can't overdose on this." And I'm like, "I don't know." So, but I'm still going with it. I'm like, okay, well, maybe
fuck
this
it, I'm on
time,
the way.
Maybe this time I'll like it. And I did. And let me tell you, I went my whole entire life doing all this crazy stuff with dope. It took me 2 months of doing meth before I ran my ass to fucking treatment. It was so bad.
The meth was it.
I thought the benzo psychosis was bad, but the meth psychosis, you talking about, and I'm thinking I'm living a million lifetimes because my days are lasting like 9 days. Like, and I'm like, oh my God, like, I'm getting more hours in the day than I used to. Like, this is like, it was so bad. And I started like having to like ask people if somebody else was in the room with us, because like it starts out as shadow people, and like that the shadow people aren't real because shadow people don't exist. But when the shadow people start turning into real people and you don't know if they're a real person or a hallucination, that's when you're kind of like, you know what?
Fam.
I think I'll go home now.
Wait. Would this be like, would you go out in public and like think you'd see something and shit like that? Or would you just be kind of sitting here like talking to say Dan on the other side.
Yes. Because when I was in a meth lab. Like it's a lot of people around all the time.
Oh, you were in the lab with these.
Yeah. No, I didn't just do
I was
this
getting
shit.
double
I'm
high.
in here like fucking shaking bottles and making the shit because allegedly. Because when I go hard, I go way overboard.
Addict,
like
you know
it's just and thank God I'm not like that anymore because it was always like I got myself into some shit.
I bet.
And so there was always people around, but I just didn't know who was really there, and it wasn't.
Like, you had to play a guessing game. Like,
So and that's when I was like looking in the sky one night, and I saw this big Indian chief in the clouds, and I was like, Indian chief, I need to go to rehab. I'm like talking to the Indian chief, knowing that he's a hallucination, but I'm like, you're really gorgeous, but maybe you are God. I just know that I need to fucking.
I need help.
I need help, and that was my turning, my real
that was
turning
the U-turn. You spoke to the Indian chief in the sky. And,
because it was just like when I knew what hallucinations were, I was like, cool, but then I was like, I got to a point where I couldn't really
like function.
And I couldn't differentiate between what was real and what wasn't, and I had like enough juice in my brain to say like, this is
this shit is not cool.
So I made a phone call to one of my friends who worked at a recovery organization. I was like, yo, like I'm living out of my car and in a meth lab, and like I think the FBI is after me. They could be.
It does to an Indian chief.
The Indian chief in this guy told me that like it is time.
It is a wrap. Give this shit up.
So she was like, all right, if you come up here tomorrow and we'll talk to you. And if you go into Tucker's and detox and you make it through detox, we'll scholarship you. Because at this point, I had no like family, like everybody was like distance themselves from me, understandably, even my mom. And I know that the hardest thing that my mom ever did was really cut me off at that point.
But it was probably also the best
thing.
It
was the best thing. And I remember when I went into Tucker's and I like was waiting the 8-hour wait to get upstairs, and I called my mom and I was just like, I'm here, I miss you, and I'm so proud of you for like doing what you had to do to protect your peace, because she loved, God, my mom loved me to death.
That was my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I knew that was hard for her, and I wouldn't. And during that time, I wouldn't call her because I knew if I called her, I would be able to talk her back in and let me stay with her. And I was like, I can't do that. I knew my time was coming.
Right.
And so that's what I did. And I had one more relapse after spending a stint in jail.
How long did you do?
37 days in Pamunkey Regional, and it was the longest 37 days of my life. I am not built for jail. I am not.
It is not a cool environment. I did my 9 months, and that was enough for me, yo.
I don't even know if I would have made that.
I had a couple one-nighters here and there, and done. I don't want to go back to that place.
It was not fun. And then I got out, and I used like 6 months later. I had 6 months clean, and in that instant that I shot that dope, I just felt the guilt and the shame, and it wasn't the same anymore. Like it did not feel good,
right?
And I was like, "How did I just do dope and it doesn't feel good?" But that was like the day that like I gave it up, like for real. Like that. I've heard people say if you don't remember your last day using, it's not your last. Well, I don't know about that, but I do know that my last day using, like that was my white flag. Like this is me. Like you're not taking it from me. I am giving it up.
That's
like,
what's up.
And that was October 3rd. So October 4th, 2018.
Round of applause.
Is my date.
October 4th,
yes,
2018. Congrats, yo.
Thank you.
Congrats. What a whirlwind of a story. That shit was awesome. Not gonna lie, I enjoyed it, and I'm happy to be sitting here with you on the recovery side of things.
Yeah.
Which I'm surprised, like, if you were in the music scene, that we probably crossed paths.
Yeah. See, that's where I think I know you from. I said you look familiar, and like it rings to me as like music. But
So when I did music, my name was Pac-Man, and I was always with like Noah O, RT, who introduced us. We had some like, I don't ever think he was involved, but there was like a little bit of music beef at a time. And my ego was like, who the fuck, wants it? Like, to the point I went to a radio station one night and freestyled while like the gentleman who had the issue were in the room. It was on Black Lick Station, matter of fact. And I shouted that shit out. I was like, yo, we could fight right now or tomorrow. Like, who, like, which one of y'all? You know what I'm saying? But that was just my bag. Now, thankfully, I've removed that gentleman. Because he used to get me into a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you do look familiar. And I think I'm probably going to start looking through mad old music photos to see if you popped up in the background or some shit.
Yeah. I was around. Is Paparazzi still around?
Fuck if I know. I don't go
That's
to the
like
city
the
no
one venue that I remember. I mean,
about
I've done
the
like
Camel?
the Camel
Okay.
and Canal Club. And I've done a lot of different projects too, to where I had a solo acoustic project.
Okay.
And I was in a rock band, and then I did this R&B pop kind of thing. So I get around.
Mad traveled. Gotcha. So, as we look to wrap up the discussion, right? I do this with all my guests. What is the one ode of advice? Like, if you have to speak to your younger self or to somebody that may listen or watch this and say, like, holy shit, I feel like that now. Like, what type of advice could you offer them?
If you're trying and you find something doesn't work for you, don't feel like you're a failure. Just try something different. Like, and keep trying until you figure it out, because none of us get it.
Right.
None of us just get this shit.
Yeah, that's life.
It's a learning process for everybody. And I wish I had understood that, because I always felt like I was a failure. And I think if I had given myself more credit, and I would have kept trying and trying until I found something that did work.
Well, that's the beauty of failure. Like, in life, if you're failing, that means you're trying something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And like, failing doesn't actually equal you failed. It says that way didn't work.
Yeah.
Like, let me try something else. And you keep going and going until it works.
Yeah. I had an old boss that used to say there's no such thing. It's not success and failures. It's success and opportunities to learn.
Okay.
And I love that.
I like that. Now, I see you involved in a lot of recovery projects, it looks like, from what I see online. Is there anything that you need to like shout out that people should be on the lookout for? Something you got moving? What's up?
Yeah, so I am the founder and executive director of a harm reduction nonprofit called the Where You're At Foundation.
Is that where these goodie bags come from?
Yeah, so we give out Narcan, fentanyl test strips for free. We're just trying to keep people who use drugs alive long enough to get into recovery. Yeah, so everywhere I go, everybody gets Narcan.
Just going through my little goodie bag.
Yeah. So, and something I always say with them, just as like a general rule of thumb, if you're using substances, test your substances, always carry Narcan, and never use alone.
Okay.
Because we don't need people dying of preventable deaths. Like, dead people can't recover.
Right. Nah, that is awesome. That is awesome. And what a mission. If anything there's that I could ever do to be of service to you, you know what I'm saying? Now that we've officially connected, I'm one call away, yo.
Yeah, honestly. We're going to start doing, now it's warming up, I want to do like haircut days. We look out for the unhoused population a lot, so we're going to do like haircut days and wound care days.
Okay. That's the type of stuff Narcan Nate. I see him doing. He's got the showers, and then he goes and bandages people up.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of that. Yeah. If I can be of service, will you?
Yeah, and we're also gonna we're gonna eventually get to a point where I want to have a drop-in center where they can come and wash their clothes and take showers and stuff. And I want to be able to have peers on staff for people who are currently using drugs. We have a lot of peers for people who are in recovery,
right?
But like, if we can help people to to improve as they're using, they're far more likely to enter into recovery and sustain recovery. So we need that support to where people have been cut off.
Bet. I like that.
Yeah.
Much success, much love to you. Again, thank you so much for pulling up. We got to do this again soon.
Yeah, thank you.
No doubt. Now let's take us out. Redeem yourself. When?